Welcome to the week 4 recap of the FFFL in 2023. And I am joined by none other than Zachary Godby. Welcome to your first 2023 season podcast, because I realize you've done some 2023 podcasts already.
Yeah, yeah.
How you feeling?
Thank you. Good. Well, good. Not great about fantasy football, but I feel great.
That's good. Well, you had a important birthday this weekend. What'd y'all do for Mindy's birthday?
We went over to my Aunt Marcy's and celebrated my mom's birthday this weekend. It was Sunday. Uh, as any of you saw, if you look at the text message chain, I also included a classic pinball machine in there as well while I was over there.
Yeah.
I figured Glenn would get a good kick out of that. I love pinball. I play it a lot every time I go over there. So it'd be great to it'd be great to it'd be great to play some pinball.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that you actually had that. And to me, that was I love that you sent it, because it was also one of those things that got me like thinking about, this is why we do it this way. And it's why we have a family podcast, because, Glenn randomly mentions the pinball thing in his podcast, and
Yeah,
you were able to make a connection. Hey, I found one, send it over to him.
yeah,
It's pretty cool. I
yeah,
thought that was really, really cool.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I apologize for any distractions. What had just happened was Allison just got home, obviously, as I've started this podcast. So now my dogs are like, oh shit, mom's home. And they just
Yeah,
jump out and go.
yeah,
And
that's all right.
little weird side note. So we have this huge, many of you have been to our house. We have this huge tree in our yard, the big hickory tree, and it
Yeah,
drops hickory nuts like freaking crazy.
yeah,
And on Saturday, I raked up what would be like about 4 full like lawn bags. Luckily, I live right but up to a forest, so I throw half of those into the forest and just say fuck it. But I try to be, a little honest, and I bag up some and I put them out to the curb like I should do.
mhm,
So today was our garbage day. Tagged up 2 big old bags. They're out there ready to go. Got a fucking sorry note on them because they're too heavy. Apparently they're over 50 pounds each, and so the person would not take them. I'm like, are you fucking
Wow.
kidding? And they're folded at the
Right,
line, like they say, like it's all that
right.
stuff, man. But they would not take it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Oh,
Crazy.
I know. So
You
now I
gotta
got to
get
go dump those in the fucking forest
right, right.
and save my
That's
stickers,
funny.
apparently. And the worst part is, so I did that Saturday. Yesterday was my day off. I raked another bag and a half. So in 2 days, I got another bag and a half of those friggin' nuts. And they're not fun to
Wow.
rake. They're not good to rake,
Right.
man.
Yeah, no, no.
Ugh.
That's
Pains
funny.
in the arses.
Right.
Um, but Zach, you've joined us on an important week, and this is a week where I'm up in the podcast game. Like I'm really going visual with my podcast game.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
hope it works out. I hope people like it, because I feel like most people just listen. Like they probably don't even watch
Yeah.
what's
Right.
happening. But
Yeah.
I've created a full-on PowerPoint for this thing. Like
Right.
I'm
No, it's
legit.
gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna
Thank
be
you.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
I
go
don't know
ahead.
about everyone else, but I actually wait to get it on YouTube, and then I watch the whole entire episode on YouTube
I
every
do.
single week.
Me
Every
too.
single week.
I
Yep.
appreciate that too. And I do it, some
Yeah.
half of it is for a critique, half of myself, and the other half is just like catch some things I didn't catch, or like, oh yeah, and like re-listen to it back to see,
Yep.
does it all
Yeah.
go well, and is it what we want. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you do. And I think a lot of people
Yeah.
do. A lot of people are listening, and they give good
I
feedback.
enjoy it more than you ever imagine. I sit
Yeah.
here and giggle about certain things, and
Yeah.
that. I mean, I enjoy it.
I love it. Love it. Okay, back up. Y'all come back up. Now the dogs are back. They saw Allison, they're fine. So now
Yeah.
they're back. So now I'm closing the door again. Okay, you two. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, because I got this
Yep.
beautiful PowerPoint that I would like, and I'm gonna share sound today because I want to make sure that y'all hear Dr. Sam when it comes to his time as well. But let's get it on. All right. This is the week
Yeah.
4 recap of the 2023 season. We're going to do like we always do. We're going to start with those matchups, right? Get a little ass whoopings in there, a few other matchups, and a nail biter. We'll then talk about Dr. Sam's injury report, hit that waiver wire what to do's. Our new segment, trade block in here, which I'm loving. Comment of the week, and then we'll wrap it all up with some week 5 matchups. So let's get right in to the ass whooping of the week. And I mean, it was one of the biggest ass whoopings we have had on here. I think one of the highest totals. I think even compared to last year, Zach, like I think we got into the 160s a couple times. There may have been a 170 last year, but we also remember had an extra flex spot last year. So Allison,
Right.
like, fucking kept going. And look at it. She got a 0. She scored 100 and I didn't even check that out.
Yeah.
164 points with a 0 on her roster.
Yeah.
Like that is absolute insanity. What were like your takeaways from this game?
Everybody exploded. That's what I took from it. I mean, 27 from Herbert is pretty good. Now Gibbs had a rough game being 8.7, but you still take 8 from your running backs right now. At least I would love to have a running back give me 8 points right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have Swift and Walker that both got you, 18
right.
and 17.
Well,
I think
and
they
AJ Brown,
for
and AJ Brown finally exploded. That's a big game, 35 points. I mean, Nakua, I don't know how you don't just start him every single game from here on out. I mean, he's just killing it. And, another thing I noticed, it's these defenses that are real good are just scoring so many points. Seattle getting 29 points is unbelievable.
Did you see that? They got like 11 sacks on him last night. 11 sacks. Like that's a crazy
That's
number.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and what, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
One was recovered. A touchdown. They scored a touchdown. I mean, yeah, they killed it. And I mean, on the other side, Kyle, it's not that his team really did terrible, but they didn't do what he needed them to do, obviously. But Waddle got 12. He's not had a productive year so far as I think. So 12 is pretty good.
He got 6.5. No, he got 6. That was his projection. Sorry, on the left side is a projection. On the right side of that number is the.
Oh, right. I got you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he was a little unproductive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Rashad White, but it's crazy that he got 46 out of Josh Allen.
Yeah. No, that's his player right now.
Got 46 points out of Josh Allen and lose that bad. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I put these benches on here too to see, like, hey, could they have done something different in the bench? And I actually, based on his roster, I think it's tough because Tyler Lockett's one I would always have in my lineup just because I think he's so he's such a good player. Like 7.4 that he got is like on the low end for Tyler Lockett. That's like a disappointing Tyler Lockett day, but he's also one that can get you 2 tutties like he did the game before. So that'd be the only one I might change, but it wouldn't have helped him. I mean, it wouldn't have gotten me close. And on Allison's side, like I think she played all the right players that I would have done. So I mean, it all looked good there. But yeah, it was definitely a major ass whooping that happened, and Allison got high score of the week. So she gets
nice. Congratulations, Allison. Congratulations. I do want to note real quick though. I mean, I would have played Everett over Parham Jr.
Yeah, she has been debating that.
That's more of a joke. She keeps going. She goes with the wrong one each week.
That's true. And this week, Gerald Everett's 1.9 would have been better, apparently. So that's a rough one.
But yeah. Congratulations, Allison. Like I was going to say this, I'm almost positive that is the 3rd highest score we've had in this league from last year and this year. I'm pretty sure that 164 is the third highest.
Yeah.
I think.
And shit, and Louis scored a ton this week too, and he still wouldn't have beat her, which is crazy to me with
Yeah.
that. So we had two real big scoring weeks. But yeah, nice
Yeah.
job, Belle. Way to go. And she's now 2-2 on the season because of that victory. And she says thank you from our bedroom right now. But let's move on to, there were some other games, other people had games. So we'll touch on those. I'm going to start with a really disappointing team, which is Andy. I mean, he is underwhelmed. He knows it, so he's not going to shy away from that. But he's underwhelmed. He lost to Bob, and they have now opposite records. Bob's now 3-1, Andy's 1-3, and Bob, shit, Kyle would have beat Bob. You know what I mean? So it's not like Bob blew the world, blew anything out. I mean, he had Derrick Henry that went for over 30, but otherwise, underwhelming performances for most
Yeah.
people. And
If he
Andy.
wouldn't
Oh, go ahead.
gotten the 30 from Derrick Henry, he would have lost to Andy.
Yeah, it would have been real bad. I mean, he should have lost to Andy either way because
Correct. Correct.
I'm gonna get on right now, and Zach, you get on him with me. But how do you play fucking Roshan Johnson over Devon Achan, which is how you pronounce it now, Devon Achan, and or
Yeah.
Nico Collins? Like, I don't know how you'd make that decision, and
So
I thought
here's
that's where it was really brutal.
so here's where I want to get on him a little bit. I don't want to give him so much shit about not playing Achan just because, like I told you, we discussed this a little bit ago. You don't really expect someone like him, since he's a backup to a backup, to repeat what he did last week or anything close, but he did. Okay, that's unfortunate. But Nico Collins has had a pretty solid year. And for you to play Roshan Johnson over Nico Collins, like I don't understand that. I don't get that. He will have to explain that. Now I know he was making a joke about playing people against Denver's defense.
Yep,
So maybe that's why
that's
I'm
exactly why
guessing.
he did it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was his thought process, but that backfired on you, didn't it?
Yeah, and no, it completely did. And
You
I
just
think,
play the better player in cases like that. That's,
yeah,
I mean,
I would agree with you there completely. Like, I think if you have two, fairly equal players and you're trying to make a decision between them, that's when you look at that matchup and say, okay, what does it look like? But to me, if you're
yeah,
saying it's defense, yes, Denver's defense has not been good. So I can understand that. But you're playing a backup running back over the number one wide receiver for a Houston offense that has passed very well. And Pittsburgh, actually, while they can get good pressure on with TJ Watt, their back end is awful. Like,
yeah,
they've actually given up tons of points to wide receivers.
yes,
And so for me, I look at it as like, if you're going to claim defense, well, actually, Pittsburgh's defense has not done well against wide receivers, especially ones of Nico's size. I mean,
right.
he's a 6'4", 215 dude. Like, he's a
Mhm.
big dude.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I'm getting on to Andy. You should have had this W. You made a wrong decision. I hope it
yeah,
eats you up at night, and I hope you lost some sleep. That's what I
yeah,
hope.
me too. And I'm going to say this now. This is might be a little more controversial than the Roshan Johnson and playing other people in front of them, but I would have also played Trevor Lawrence over Kirk Cousins this week. I understand Carolina is Carolina, but they have a pretty good defense. And I know Kirk Cousins exploded last week, but Trevor Lawrence was also playing Atlanta, who does not have a very good defense.
I would. The reason I disagree with, I think there's a lot going on there. Kirk has played well, much. I mean, played great the 2 weeks prior. Like, I think
Yes.
Kirk
Yep.
scored over 30 points 2 weeks prior, so you're right in the hot
I agree.
hand. So, and I don't ever know what to do with the players that travel to London. Like, I don't know what to do with those players at times because it seems so weird. It's like such a weird game, and I
I
don't know
get
how
it,
to
but that's
play
what
that
made
either.
but that's kind of what made me say I would start him. I like Trevor Lawrence. I don't think that they're going to continue to struggle. And I thought them maybe going overseas, show
Yeah,
off in front of the other people. It's Atlanta. Like, I figured he would show out. Now, 20 isn't showing out. He only got 20 points, but
yeah.
it was better than the 11 that Kirk Cousins did produce. But I
No,
agree. I mean, Kirk Cousins has had a great year.
I think, unfortunately for Andy, what it does is just create more decisions. Like now, it's like it's
I
just
agree.
it just piled on top that he looks at that and
We can
says,
get
"Damn
we can get to that. We can get to that in the
it."
trade block.
that, that sounds good. We'll get there. Well, let's move on to the next game. Got multiple more to get through here, but EJ took easy care of Casey. Uh, I mean, EJ's been scoring pretty well. He's only 2-2, and it's been very kind of weird with him. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, like last week he had a real down game, and the first week he had a real down game. So it's almost like he's either really underwhelming or really overwhelming, like or he's
Yeah.
overdoing what he was going to do. But he had some really solid performances for pretty much almost everybody but Hawkinson. Whereas on
Mm-hmm.
Casey's side, he got a great performance from Russell Wilson, and he's been doing well to choose the right quarterback to play, which I think has been
Well,
cool.
and
But
real fast, kudos to him for catching. I don't know if he had it that way already, but if he didn't, kudos for him catching the Deshaun Watson thing
oh,
being out.
true,
Now, I have him in another league, and I literally didn't get an update until 30 minutes before the game that he wasn't playing. And I was like, what? What?
true, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
And but Case has done well. I mean, he's 2-2 also, but he's done
yeah.
well this season. I think his
He
team has
had an
performed well.
unfortunate week. I mean, I know it wouldn't matter, but -6 from his defense hurt.
Yep.
Brees Hall not having a great game, that hurt.
Yeah, he's having a tough time with like with the running back situation. But the good news for him is, especially on the indie side, is he's got Jonathan Taylor as well as Zach Moss, and so I feel like
Yeah,
that's actually helped him stay afloat during
yeah,
this time when he was really bummed about his team and the auto draft. And he, but
yeah,
look at, I mean, Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Travis Kelsey, Devonta Smith. I mean, these are great players, and then that he has on his squad.
yeah,
So that four right there, and if you get JT back at a good health, I mean, like that's a pretty tough team to beat. So like he's got a
yeah,
pretty solid team, but obviously EJ does too, man. You got a
yeah,
lot of weapons along that, and he doesn't even have
yeah.
Christian Watson, balling out yet, or guys like that
I
that could
know,
be those home
I
runs
know
yet.
we'll get, yeah, I know we'll get to this at a later point, but it does hit on this. EJ is the one that I have went to 12 times, 1,200 times to try to make a trade with. And I mean, I don't think I've sent him anything. Maybe once I did, but I can't. He's the team that seems like I want to trade with, but I
Sure,
can't come up with anything that I love on the trade. So,
sure,
yeah, he has a very well-rounded team, very well-rounded team.
agreed. Yeah, doing very well. So both of them are
Yeah,
2-2, right in the thick of it. Both playing very well. So, but nice job on that big win, EJ with
yeah,
the third highest point total of the week.
yeah.
Next up is your matchup. Do you want me to talk about
Congratulations,
it?
congratulations, Glenn. Let's move on.
Yeah, it was a real rough one for you. You had your two wide receivers go get injured. Obviously Debo's your third wide receiver, and he's probably up there. But you kind of got a mix of like three guys that are all in that same zone, and two got injured, and Debo didn't get a pass thrown to him. I think I don't.
Yeah,
I think he may have. I don't think he got a pass thrown to him.
no,
As I'm thinking about
no.
it.
He ran the ball. I think 3 times. I think he had 3 carries.
There
And
you go. It's such a weird friggin' game. Like you don't know,
which
and
really,
that's
which really sucks for me. Obviously, getting beat even by 45 points wouldn't have mattered, but that's why he's in my flex because I was gonna not even start him because he was questionable all week. He didn't practice
sure.
Wednesday. He didn't practice Thursday. So I was just going to play someone else, but it wouldn't even have mattered. I mean, it wouldn't have
No.
mattered at all. So,
Yeah, you got some tough options on your bench right now, so I think that part's tough too. And that's when we get to that trade block, you might be talking about some of that. But
yeah,
Glenn had some
Glenn,
big
great job.
performances. Yeah,
Yeah, Glenn, hopefully Musgrave will be all right for you, but you still have Pitts and Komet, so you'll be all right.
yeah, he'll be just fine rolling with three
Yeah,
tight ends. A fucking weirdo.
you got AR
But
back.
yeah, and Eckler's on a bye, but Eckler should be back after that bye, so it makes his team even stronger at that point
Yeah,
too. So that's going to be tough. And your team will turn it around, man. I know it's just tough. You just lost some running backs. You lost Chubb, that hurt a ton, and Dalvin Cook
Yeah,
hasn't been what you were
I'm
hoping.
in bad shape with T Higgins, underperforming like he has, but I feel like they're going to turn it around too. They're a
Yeah,
team that there's no way they're going to continue to struggle. I understand Joe Burrow ain't himself, but even with the calf injury, I feel like he's going to do a little better than what he's been. I mean,
agreed. Yeah,
they're too talented. They're all too talented to be this bad. So
agreed. I agree with you on that. But we'll move on because that was a tough loss, and that was one where
thank
like
you.
nobody performed, and you might as well
Yeah,
just kind
thanks
of move.
everybody. I know everyone enjoyed seeing that. If I may, real quick, you don't
Yeah,
need to pull it back up or anything, but I will take lowest points of the year. I'll take
I
that.
will.
That's
50.72. Yeah, so
that's
far.
gotta that's gonna have to be it, right?
Yeah,
I
because
win
you were
something.
close to under 50, and I don't know if we've ever gone under 50. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
close, man. That is
terrible.
brutal. But yeah,
Yeah.
now we'll move on
Next,
to another tough matchup, man. Like in this one's tough. I'll admit, for getting spanked like I did by Louis, it is still a tough loss, man. I scored 128 points. Like when I've done that, that's my highest point total of the year, and I lost. I'm like,
yeah,
gosh, dang it, But that's
yeah,
fantasy football, and you had
yeah,
Louis, who had just everybody except for Mostert basically did their job and plus did their job plus, right? I mean,
yeah.
you've got huge games from shit. Dallas's defense came right back to life after having a rough week last week. Pacheco had his best game of his career, I think, so far, especially in fantasy this week. Mark
Mm-hmm.
Andrews came back to life, and that was good because I mean they had Odell Beckham out as well as Rashad Bateman out, so they. I mean, I knew Andrews was going to probably hurt me, which was like kind of the tough part for that. But then yeah, he did very well. And on my end, I mean, CMC went out for 50, over 50 points. It's the highest so far, I think, this year from one
Yeah.
player, and I couldn't capitalize on that, man. It was just a
Well,
tough go.
what I saw there, honestly, was just a lot of underperforming from your team. I mean, not that the players you have in have overperformed at all this year anyway, but Zay Flowers, 6 points, and Dalton Kincaid only getting you four. Bengals defense only getting you two. Those just hurt
Yeah,
with him
against a
putting up
shitty Tennessee team. Like
right.
Tennessee's not
With
good.
again with his defense, um, I feel like these defenses are just making a huge difference when you have a defense that's putting up 20 plus points. I mean,
Yep.
that's huge.
I'll show
You
you what
know,
hurt
and
me.
and Pacheco going off, it's like, uh, I've tried to offer him like three different trades for Pacheco because I felt like he's kind of underperformed so far. And then he does that. So I don't
Yeah.
think Louis is going to trade me Pacheco now.
Nope. But this guy right here, his name's David Montgomery.
Yeah.
He's part of the reason that I lost right there because he would have.
Yes.
So he
Yeah.
would have played over Najee. That's the only thing I would have done differently, and that would be 27 points. But it wouldn't have mattered. No, it would
Yeah.
have. I think in the end, because that at that point like would have been so at 27 I'm at one nope I'm at 155, so it wouldn't have
Yeah.
mattered even if I played Monty, and it probably would have
Yeah.
pissed me off further. It would have pissed me off further that I
Right.
scored 155 points and lost.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that
So
a
I'll
lot.
take I'll take what kind of happened there, but big kudos to Louis. Got some good stuff on his bench too. He's looking
Yeah.
good. Got a great
Yeah.
squad going, so he'll keep that up because he could have hurt me even worse if he played DJ Moore over
Yeah.
Adam Thielen. That could have
Oh,
hurt me even worse.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
take the spanking. He's
Yeah.
now
Good job,
3-1.
Louis.
Yep,
Great
he's now,
job.
and he's first in our division now too. So
Dallas
3-1
still sucks.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move on from that one because I don't want to talk about it anymore. All right, now let's get to our nail biter of the week, and this was a true nail biter because both teams fucking sucked. Both of them tried to. One tried to. They were like 69 in each other and just seeing who could suck harder.
Yeah.
Same fucking time. That's what the heck
I
was
agree.
happening. And if
I
and
agree.
if Fields doesn't go off, Sam's team would have definitely easily lost because I mean
Yeah.
Fields is the reason that he won.
Yeah.
That's oh my gosh, it just I can't believe that Sam has gotten lucky again
Yes.
and won another. But they were what I think uh Tyler had Gary Brightwell going. He needed basically like 10 points from Brightwell, only got three.
Right.
Not much you can ask for at
Right.
that point. I mean, what else are you going to do? And I guess for
Right.
his sake, he was trying to see if Saquon would return. And so
Yeah.
that's why he didn't play anybody else. But even so, who else are you going to play? Nobody else would have gotten you there, anyways. So that was kind of tough. And same with Sam's bench. Nobody on his bench did much either.
Yeah.
So it's not
No.
like both teams kind of just, they all sat around watching the Toy Story broadcast and decided not to go
Right.
play football
Right.
afterward.
I wish Sam wouldn't have had Justin Fields go off because we could have battled for the lowest score of the week, you know?
That's true. But even from Tyler's side, he could have had the same. I mean, Stephon Diggs and Terry McLaurin, they
Yeah.
combined for pretty much, I think, like 75% of his points
Yeah.
or something I
Yeah.
calculated. It was something
Yeah.
crazy. Like those two got
Yeah.
75% of his points. So
Yeah.
tough loss.
Yeah.
We still have an undefeated
Hang
second
hang in there,
victory.
hang in there, Tyler. I know it's tough, buddy. I get it. I feel for you, dude. I really do.
Well, yeah, and you're
No
feeling the
no
same. Like,
joking. This is no family jabs. I hope things turn around for you, dude. It's bad.
yeah, and he'll get Barkley back, which will be nice. But
Yeah.
like so that'll be a nice addition to have because he'll boost that a good amount. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a tough week, man. Just
Yeah.
too tough.
Well, him having Joe Burrow, I offered him a trade for T. Higgins, so we'll see if he takes it. But I don't know that that'll help him. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Same. Like it's kind of
It's
tough,
tough.
and there's teams where you might need multiple things, and we'll kind of get to that here in the
Yeah.
in the trade block to kind of talk through that of what you might want to do besides just scanning the waiver wire. So we'll touch on that. But that
Yeah.
wraps up the week 4 matchups. Nice job. Good luck. Good job, everybody who won. For those who lost, it's only week 4. We still got 10 more weeks of the regular season to turn it around. And you'll even see when we get to the week 5 matchups that nobody is statistically out of it at all. So make sure you keep going, keep plugging away. I like the action that I'm seeing from everybody in the league. But now it's time to touch on injuries with Dr. Sam. So we have his injury report coming to us. I think he's kind of coming to us live, if I'm not mistaken. Zach, he might be live. So let's go ahead and play Dr. Sam and hear what are going on in injuries this week.
Welcome to the Week 4 Injury Report with Dr. Sam, currently taping from my car since the video this morning did not upload. So let's jump into it. Quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kenny Pickett, has a bone bruise on his knee. He left the game with what they thought was going to be an ACL, potentially an MCL, but it looks like it's just a really bad bone bruise. There's a pretty unlikely chance that he plays Week 5. However, they do have a bye Week 6, so he may be good coming back after that. Javonte Williams, the Denver running back, has a hip flexor injury. Slightly concerning since he did have some knee problems the year before. Potentially his muscles are a little bit weaker, so he may expect to miss a little bit, even though they said that he was good to go. Devontae Adams, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, had a shoulder injury. I think they were guessing it's like an AC sprain. Pretty low chance of re-injury unless he does, in fact, fall on that shoulder. Mike Evans, wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has a hamstring injury. They said it's not too bad. It was just kind of like a tweak. However, he does have a history similar to Cooper Kupp of hamstring injuries, so that may keep him out for a little bit longer. But they do have a bye week coming up, so he may be good to go after that. We're just checking practice plans to see how he's progressing. T. Higgins, wide receiver for the Bengals, has a rib fracture. Typically, this is about a 2-week recovery. If he does play, he'll probably have about a 15% drop in his productivity, similar to like Deebo Samuel when he came back. A couple defensive players that I noted was Matthew Judon, who is the edge rusher for the New England Patriots. He had a bicep tendon tear, so he is going to be out indefinitely, as is Christian Gonzalez, the New England corner, who looks like he dislocated his shoulder, so they're probably going to run tests and see what other tissues were damaged. Tre'Davious White, Buffalo cornerback, tore his Achilles. It looks like he will be out for the season as well. And then finally, a couple last ones. Pat Fryermuth, the tight end for Pittsburgh. It looks like he pulled his hamstring, so that's about a 2 to 4 week injury, depending on how he is progressing through that. And then Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers. Looks like he fractured a finger on his non-throwing hand, so he may have a little bit more trouble holding the ball, but he should not have much dip in performance. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all next week.
Nice job, Dr. Sam. He's always so good with all that kind of stuff. We
Great
appreciate
job.
you. Yeah.
Great job.
And I think we got some good info there. Obviously, hit on both of your wide receivers of T. Higgins and Mike Evans. And Mike Evans does have a history of it. I mean, I feel like every year he's out. Like, I don't even know if he's out, but he like ends up going out for parts of games due to that exact injury, the hamstring injury, which
Yeah.
is really interesting. Any injury notations that you want to make that maybe Dr. Sam didn't hit on, or anything you want to add to from what Dr. Sam said?
I mean, the only one that I didn't see he mentioned, and again, I don't even know what the severity is of it. Me and you talked about it, and he's practicing again, was Luke Musgrave. So,
Yeah,
he had a concussion, and oddly, he is already practicing. So he might even play. I don't know.
yeah, and I think he will just because that was a Thursday game, so he gets like 4 extra days in the
Yeah.
protocol, which is usually just what they need. It's almost like that when when it happens. I think they have a 40% chance to return like that following week.
Yeah.
And to me, because of that, it's so 50-50. I'm like, yeah, if they just had a few extra days, I guarantee they could come, and that's probably why Musgrave could. Another thing that I'm notating is Jonathan Taylor could come back, and he's been on IR, but he's supposedly healthy. So we don't know if he's going to play this week or not. It's something that Casey has to monitor. And good news is he has Zach Moss as well, so he can interchange either of those depending on who's actually going to be the starter for that week.
So obviously, I hear some things that some might not hear
Right,
about
you
Jonathan
do.
Taylor being here. So I
Yeah.
did hear this morning that he is at practice today. He did practice. He was a full participant in practice. And it
Okay.
sounds like he is going to play. And I also know they have 0 trade offers for him right now.
Yeah.
None. So it sounds like he's going to play the rest of the season.
I would imagine so. And no matter what you want to think and whose side you're on, I'm almost always on the player side. I think running backs should get paid more. I think their contracts we've talked about before should be structured of more pay but less years. Like to me, that's a win-win for everybody, like
Yep.
in a way. But
Yep.
when you no matter what like I said, no matter what side you want to be on, when you handle yourself like he did, whether or not you think that's right or not, it doesn't mean that other owners are going to look at that positively, right? Like another owner is
Right.
going to look at what's happening and say, "Oh, it sounds like it's just Ursay," which it probably is because Ursay's a fucking garbage.
Right.
But other owners are going to look at that and say, "Yeah, do I want to bring that problem on? Like, do I want to bring that on? Like,
Right.
do I need to? And he's
Right.
injured, like, yeah, what do I want to do?" But
So
so
I think a way to solve it is more guaranteed money.
sure, yep,
Now I
yep,
realize that doesn't sound smart because the running backs are getting injured, but that's what everyone in the NFL and NBA and MLB want. They want the guaranteed money. So I feel like you could give them a little less money if you guaranteed it all.
yeah,
Now I know that's a big risk, guaranteeing all the money, but that's how you keep and make a player like Jonathan Taylor happy as well.
yeah,
He wants 20 million a year. Well, if you offer him 17 million a year, but he's getting it all guaranteed, he probably takes that. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I think 20 million, that's he's
That's a
I don't know if
lot.
it's smart or
That's
not.
high.
I'm just saying I think he's saying it to then be able to push the fact. It's like that old trope that you just I say this number because I really want this number. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Right.
going to say 25
Yeah.
but I really would want 18. But then
Right.
you're going to think that you're dwindling me down. So that could be what
Correct.
you're doing there
Correct.
too. The only other injury that I would note, Zach, is actually the Tre'Davious White injury for Buffalo.
The
He's out for the
Bills.
season, and he was their
Yeah.
shutdown corner. Uh,
Yep.
and I think that's going to hurt that hurts their defense right there. So if you have Buffalo's defense,
That will.
I don't I don't
I
know what
will
it's going to do, but they still got a good defense. So I'm not shying fully away, but just know that a major part of that defense was taken away.
I will note that will affect them a lot, yes. But I also think they get Von Miller back this week.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep.
So that will help a little bit with missing him. But yeah, that's going to hurt him. Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you again, Dr. Sam, for your insight into all of that. And now that we've heard about some injuries and some of us may have experienced those for our team, as now we're trying to figure it out. Or it could be that, guess what? This is week 5 coming up, and week 5 is the first week of bye weeks, where we're going to see who has the best depth in this league, right? Who's actually doing well in that area to be able to sustain your team during that time. We got a couple teams that we'll talk about in the matchups that have a lot of players on bye this week, and others who don't. There's a few, I think week 5, almost like week 13, and like one other week are like real popular bye weeks this year. So we'll talk through that. So you might have some buys going on this week and trying to figure out how to fill it. So let's touch on some of that waiver wires. We're going to start with our quarterbacks on the waiver wire. And I'll be honest, I don't even know what to tell people to do here. Most of you already have backup QBs, and if you don't have a backup QB, I'm sorry because this is the list that you get to pick from.
Yeah.
Anyone on here that you want, like that you were like, man, I'll totally do that.
So, ironically, the only one that I would say would be Zach Wilson, and it's because they're playing Denver. You
Sure.
know, I
Yeah.
I realize that that kind of contradicts what I said about Russell Wilson earlier and whoever Trevor Lawrence or Kirk Cousins and Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, being that Zach Wilson had a pretty decent game this week, he turns it around. But I wouldn't put a whole lot of faith in that. I'm not saying to do that. I feel like that's the best option that I see out there.
Yeah, I mean, he played his best game of football this past week, and so you're hoping he could build on that. So I could see it there because Denver. I mean, Justin Fields was able to have a huge game, and it was actually done not with his legs; it was done through the air against Denver, 4 touchdown passes. I
Yeah.
mean, so I would agree with that. I think that's a defense that you can attack. You're just hoping Zach Wilson can repeat kind of what he did last
Yeah.
week. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's not a lot of great options on the waiver wire for
No.
QBs this week. So sorry about those who need it. So we'll move on to running backs. A couple of them that I wanted to touch on, and you might have some you want to touch on as well. But I'm going to bring up the name at the bottom here, Jaleel McLaughlin, and I like him because he's with Javonte Williams for the Denver Broncos, having that hip contusion that Dr. Sam talked about. He'll be out for probably at least a week or two, if not more, depending on how they want to work this, especially him coming back from that knee injury. But Jaleel McLaughlin, he saw less snaps than Samaje Perine did during that game, but he actually got more touches than Samaje Perine did. I think he got like 10 or 11 touches total and did very well with those touches. So Jaleel
Yeah.
McLaughlin might be somebody, if you're looking for a running back this week, I think he could be a good one if you're in the need for somebody like right away. He could be somebody
Yeah.
that can add some value to your roster right away.
Yeah. The only one that I would touch on would be Spears from Tennessee. Um, he's performing pretty well so far. And I mean, I'm not wishing it on anybody. I forget who has him, whatever. But he's also great to have if Derrick Henry gets hurt. Because if Derrick Henry does get hurt, that's the number one, and he'll put up 20 points a game if he's their starter. He's good.
Yeah. I want to say it's Tyler
So,
that has Derrick Henry, but I might be wrong about that.
yeah, I can't remember. It might
Yeah.
be. I don't remember.
But
It
yeah, I
might be
think
Bob. Bob might have Derrick
oh,
Henry.
you're right. It could be Bob. Yeah. Actually, I think you might be right about that. But yeah, I would definitely Spears is a good player. I mean, he's a good player, and yeah, as a handcuff, that's what I want to take. But as you all are probably seeing on here, all these players are backup running backs. There are no starting running backs to find. I think it's very tough. And like I say every week now, take your stab at a backup running back for your waiver wire pickup if you need to get a running back. That's what you're gonna have to do. And sometimes it's just smart just to have them on in case something were to happen to the head guy, right? Like
Yeah.
just good to have it if you can. So,
Yeah.
so that's where we're at on running backs. Anything you want to touch on with that before I move on to wide receivers?
Just one last thing would be,
Yeah.
to that point, I would say, whoever has Pollard, I'd probably pick up Rico.
Yep. I've done
He
that.
seems he seems to be pretty decent, so that might be a good handcuff to have.
Yeah, I like that too. I did that not this past week because I didn't have the spot for it, but I did the week prior when I had to actually put a running back on IR, and I was able to do
Yeah,
that. I was like, shit, I'll pick up Rico Dowdle then, and in case
yeah,
Pollard were to get hurt this game, Rico Dowdle becomes number one. So those are ways to kind of like play the game a bit to
yeah,
know, okay, hey, I got a player who's listed as out. All right, put him in your IR right away, and then kind
yeah,
of weed through this, and then depending on roster
yeah.
size of what you got of each position will depend on if you can get that person on there.
For those that don't understand it, all you have to do is look at my roster. I had Nick Chubb and I drafted Ford, and it seemed to be a decent thing so far. I mean, Ford underperformed this week, but last week, I mean, he got me out 26
yeah,
points or something.
yep.
So, that was a good handcuff to have.
We're always taking risks, yeah, and I
Yeah.
agree to that. Like I actually, to be transparent, I tried to get Tajay Spears this week. I saw him on
Yeah.
there. I'm like, he shouldn't be on here. I don't know who
No,
dropped him, so I'm just gonna say I don't know who dropped him.
I don't either.
But it does. But this is where like he's a good backup to have. But anyway, so I tried to get him, but Eli Mitchell, who I knew was going to be out, he had the 325 game, but Tajay Spears played the noon game. And so he wasn't, so Eli wasn't listed as out yet. Well, when I put Mingo in IR, he's a wide receiver. So at that point, I couldn't pick up another running back because that would make it 7 on my roster, and our max size is 6. Done for
Right.
this exact reason, so that everybody can get some running backs. So it wouldn't allow me
Yeah.
to do it. Otherwise, I would have picked him
Yeah.
up if Eli Mitchell was out. I'd have put Eli Mitchell as the out and picked up Spears off the bat. So I think he's a good one to potentially grab. Shoot, anybody on here. Ronnie Rivers could be if fucking Kyron Williams gets hurt. Right, here goes Ronnie
Yeah.
Rivers. So there
Yeah.
you go. But let's move
Yeah.
to wide receivers because there's actually some on
Yeah.
here I like. So I'd like us to
Yeah.
maybe talk a little bit about these. I put a good list on
Yeah.
here, so you all are seeing there's kind of a good long list of wide receivers. I do not
Mhm.
highlight most of these players, so I'm not telling you to go after most of these players, but there are some on here I'd like to highlight. Any of them on here that you want to highlight before I maybe touch on a few?
I would just say that Robert Woods is a pretty good choice. Oh, sorry. Robert Woods is a pretty good choice if you need a wide receiver. He's not a stud by any means, but he'll get you a solid 6 points a game. You can count on him for that. And then who was my other one? I had another one and I've lost it now. Oh, Curtis Samuel. He's been kind of nicked up a little bit here and there, but he's a stud, but he hasn't done anything so far. So I think he might turn it on. Washington is a good team. They're playing well. So
Yeah.
I think they're surprising a lot of people.
Yeah, and he does a lot of those underneath routes that seem to be really popular this past week. He did well, and he just often hurt, and that's his issue.
Right.
If he can stay on the field,
Yeah.
he's getting targets, but when
Yeah.
he can't stay on the field, it gets really tough at that point. But hopefully he's out
Right.
there again this week because I think for me personally, we're going to the matchup, but I would like as many good receiving options on Washington as possible to be playing.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
A couple I'll highlight. It's funny, I got different ones than you do, and it's really a lot of these when you're thinking about your roster, and what you're looking for. Please understand like what you are looking for. Are you looking for the Robert Woods type who his projection is 8.5? He won't go much higher than that. He probably won't go much lower than that. But he's a steady, like he'll get, like you said, 5 catches for 30 to 50 yards. Like he'll get you points. So if you're like, hey, I need that. I need a good solid 8, especially in half PPR, that's not terrible. Robert Woods might be the person to go with, but there are other options that are more like boom or bust options. And some of those I'm going to talk to are like on the bottom right. Marvin Mims, he's only getting 2 or 3 catches a game, but shit, he's already had multiple touchdowns. He catches the deep passes, So if you're looking for somebody that might be able to put some electricity into your offense, he could be one where you're saying, "Hey, I needed somebody in double digits." Marvin Mims could be a good choice for that. A couple other good out, and Jameson Williams, I'm surprised he's on our waivers because a lot of people are looking at him as from what he was in Alabama, had an ACL injury, so he didn't really play much last year until the very end of the year. And he's coming off of a suspension from this year for gambling, but it wasn't on NFL football or whatnot. But he's actually coming back this week and will basically become the number 2 option for Detroit when he comes back. And another guy, it's a big play guy, so he might be somebody that you're willing to go after. And I'm only going to mention 2 others because they're actually playing well, and their names are Michael. Michael Gallup has actually had 2 pretty solid games. Louis, you'll know this, 2 pretty solid games in a row for Dallas and seeing targets. And even last week, they didn't need him much. He was still like 5 for 60 or 6 for 50, one of those two, like 6 catches for 50 yards in a game that he really wasn't needed. And so he could have had more, but he didn't. In the game before that, he played even better. And then Michael Wilson for the Cardinals, as they get better, they're a surprising team this year. You'll notice like his fantasy points earned has just continued to increase game after game. So he finally got into
Yeah.
double digits this week, but he's getting more run. So a couple of those guys might be some ones to look at. So actually a good amount of receiving options this week,
Yeah.
even though it feels like it's a weird week of waivers.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's move on to the last spot, one that we don't want to talk to. And like I just said, it's a weird week of waivers of who knows what to do. Are there any tight ends that you're interested in on this list?
Unfortunately, no. I'm with you this year on the tight ends. I know that every year there's only, 5 that are real big standouts, but I mean, this year it just seems to be super underwhelming from the tight end position from so many places. It's like,
Yeah.
I
I
mean, so no, I literally have no clue.
yeah, pick your player. Maybe you match somebody in a this is so these are where I go into, do you have one that matches with your quarterback? Do you have one that might correlate well with like an offense or with something from the other side? Like this is where the game gets a little bit deeper to then pick what guy might go off. But just
Yeah.
choose Logan Thomas, always another guy's consistent.
Yeah.
If the Jets
Yeah.
offense is anything, Conklin could be something. I
Yeah.
chose Kylan Granson for my tight end in daily fantasy this week, and guess what? They threw to all the other tight ends that Indy has, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
motherfuckers. So yeah,
Yeah.
pick your poison
Yeah.
there, but have fun with the waiver wire tight ends.
Yeah.
But there's other ways that we can improve our rosters besides always feeling like we got to go to free agency. We can truly try to work with other teams on trades. And trading is an uncomfortable space to be in because you have to trade away something usually to get something. And we often just look at what we did or what like as like this investment that we've made. We draft players and we're unwilling to trade them away because, well, I drafted them in the second round. I don't want to trade them. Like, yeah, I drafted them in the second round. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter where you drafted anybody anymore. It doesn't matter. All those things kind of go out the window. So be in that uncomfortable space and when you're looking at trades to know that it is going to be that space, but it is a good way to improve your roster. We're getting into bye weeks, we're having injuries, so there are things that we can do. Zach, you talked about throwing out some trades or looking at trades. Are there any like tips or anything that you kind of do as you go through seeking trades out?
Um, I wouldn't say I do anything specific seeking out the trades other than you want to have a good idea of like what you're trying to fulfill. Like if you need running backs, if you need wide receivers, if you need a quarterback, you want to be able to have as well of a balanced team as you can, obviously. And, sometimes you get midway through the season or a quarter of the way through the season and you realize that you might have messed up in some places, which is where I will hit on mine. I think I made a mistake probably taking Mahomes as high as I did because I didn't get as many good players as I should have because I drafted him.
Sure.
So, Mahomes is on the market. Anybody
Okay.
that wants to offer me a trade. So this is where it's kind of funny because right now my team is so bad that I just don't have the answer to give to anyone of what I want in return. I need wide receivers. I need running backs. I really could use a tight end as well. I mean, my team is pretty bad. I mean, I don't have a starting running back on my roster at all.
Yeah, that's true. I saw your
what I mean?
roster.
And with T Higgins and Mike Evans being hurt, I have one starting wide receiver on my team. That's it. So, I mean, my team is bad right now. So, my only trade point is Patrick Mahomes. I've got some other things that I will trade, but, also I want to notate real fast, everyone that listens to this, don't listen to Andy. I am not a horse trader. I try to make it as fair as I possibly can.
You do. I will say you actually do. You do a good job with that. Yeah, and I didn't even think about that as having you on here as this first one that he's going to give you crap for being a horse trader.
It's okay. I get it. It's fine. He's upset because he lost to me last year. So I understand that he would be upset that I traded for some good players. But so everyone was in the league last year except for two of you. So for the two that weren't in the league last year, yes, I made a trade that did help my team and it improved my team a lot and it got me to third place. But I also risked it. I did not have a bench. I had no bench players whatsoever.
Yep,
I had nothing but a starting roster, and that was all I had. So if any of them got hurt, I was screwed. Like I took a big gamble. To me, Andy calls it horse trading, but I felt like it was a huge gamble because I didn't have any depth at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That was one of your concerns with it too. I do remember that.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the things I think about is so you're looking to, potentially trade Mahomes because you want multiple assets back. You want multiple guys back in a trade. And I know again, two of you weren't here last year, but I made a trade for Josh Allen last year. And I'm mentioning it because I think it speaks to that uncomfortable space that you try to go to make a trade. Like, I know that I overpaid for Josh Allen, but if you're going to go for a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a Christian McCaffrey, like these are the absolute best of the best players, you're going to have to come with an overwhelming trade in order to make it happen, in all honesty. Because I can't remember, and Kyle would have to recall what I traded, but I traded like Dalvin Cook, not this year's Dalvin Cook, last year's Dalvin Cook, who was actually good. I think I traded Dalvin Cook, like a top end wide receiver, and like one other thing too. I think I traded like 3 players for Josh Allen.
You did.
And it was a top end wide receiver. Like it wasn't like I made some garbage offer. Like I had to make a big offer. So if you feel like, hey, I've got some depth on my team, I'm in need of a quarterback, I might feel that same way. I might make a trade. I'll probably talk to you about it here, Zach. Maybe when this call, I'll talk to you about, hey, how could I improve upon that? But if you're feeling you've got
and so the only more advice I would give on this aspect is if your team is underperforming and you feel like it's going to continue to do that, then you probably want to start thinking about trade offers. If not, I look at it like this, like a team like Sam, even though we can all agree he's been pretty lucky to win. And I'm pretty sure every week, if not 3 of the 4 weeks, he's been pretty lucky to win, but he has won. So being that he's 4-0, I don't know that I would think about making moves if I was him. I might make a small move, something little, but not where I go get Patrick Mahomes and give up a couple of my studs,
Yeah.
you're undefeated. Why would you risk that? But, I mean, there's 4 of us in this league right now that are 1-3 or 0-4. So,
Yeah.
To those teams, you probably want to start thinking about shaking some things up, and to your point, it may be something where you have to give up something really big to only get a couple of things smaller, but what you don't realize is in the long run, that might end up helping you.
Yeah, exactly. So come with the offers for Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, and be cognizant of what you're looking for from it and what you're willing to give up, all that kind of stuff. So it's important. It's also important to look future forward. You do want to, look at what they've done so far in the year, but
Yep.
understand that so Patrick Mahomes, here's a great example. He's position ranked number 7. Well, last year he was the number 1 quarterback in our league. If I'm not mistaken, he ended up at number 1. And Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes
Yeah.
is not the number 7 quarterback. He will not end the number 7 quarterback in our league. Like that's the way I look at
No.
it. So I think a lot of
Yeah.
people also get to become prisoners in the moment to say this
Yeah.
person isn't doing it right now. Whereas for me, I actually try to go towards, I actually go for those players who are underperforming to see if I can
Yeah.
get them a little
Yes.
bit cheaper from somebody because
Yes.
you got to look at this player is a veteran. They're always good. They're still youthful. They still got, you look at a lot of those things. They're just not doing. It's like Jamar Chase or AJ Brown the first 2 weeks, both underperforming like crazy. You may have been able to go trade for them for a little bit cheaper than you can now. I guarantee you right now you ain't trading shit for AJ Brown because he just had 2 big weeks in a row, right? And it's like, so if I were to go in week 2 after week 2 and say, well, AJ Brown just doesn't have it this year, well, I'm fucking wrong because he's a
Yeah.
legit awesome weapon who
Yeah.
has now proved it. Like just know that you got to
Mhm.
go for some of that upside that they can provide as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into one more because I got one, man. You got Patrick Mahomes,
Okay.
got nice one, but I got Garrett Wilson, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna make my pitch here that he to me is at his lowest point, and he is still a wide receiver too. He is the number
Yeah.
24 wide receiver. I drafted him to be hopefully like the number 8 to 10 wide receiver. He has not been that. I don't know that he can hit that. He won't hit that ceiling for the year. So I'm understanding that he might not be so great or as good as what he could have been. So he won't provide as much value. But what I'm looking to do is for somebody who, like yourself, is in a position that needs some depth to say, hey, I'd like to improve in my wide receiver area. If you got maybe a good wide receiver, but you're like, I got one good one and I don't have many more, Garrett Wilson and somebody else on my roster might, or maybe 2 other people like to package for somebody. That's what I'm kind of looking to do with Garrett Wilson. So I
Yep.
understand that he might not be somebody that you're willing to trade 1v1 for, and maybe you have a trade that works for that. But
Right.
like this could be one where you can package him with somebody else. So even if you're looking at it from that way of the opposite side of depth, so like this might be one where I say, hey, I'm gonna go trade for Patrick Mahomes. I'm gonna include Garrett Wilson. I'm gonna include David Montgomery, and I'm gonna include Brock Purdy. Right, that might be the way that I have to look at that to say that's how I get Patrick Mahomes is those 3
Yeah.
players. I don't know.
Right.
But that's how it would
Yeah.
go, and I think we're on opposite ends to say, hey, I know that I would have to package Garrett as a hey, he's still going to provide you a good floor right now. That's a wide receiver 2 floor with some wide receiver 1 upside.
Right.
You go that route. So those could be ways that you think about doing a trade. And hey, maybe Zach, you don't got to say it on that, but maybe you liked what I just threw out, and I just kind of threw it out there. But maybe you're saying, hey, you know what? That's a downgraded quarterback, but that's providing me 2 more pieces of depth, at
Right.
wide receiver and running back that I will put in my lineup right now. Because I guarantee if I told you that Garrett Wilson, I could all 3 of those players probably start for you, except for maybe Purdy because Mayfield is doing all right. But I would imagine
Yeah.
Monty plays for you, and I imagine Garrett Wilson plays for you right away. You
That's
know,
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
so
100%. Yeah.
but if you were to say that, you'd have to look at it and say, okay, what do they do to those spots on my roster, and do they improve it enough to where that downgraded quarterback
Right.
is overwhelmed by that, meaning that
Right.
I actually get more points by putting those 2 in my lineup and going down to a Mayfield or a Purdy. I get more
Yeah.
points in the end.
Yeah.
So, but good talk. Honestly, I appreciate you talking with the trade block.
Yeah.
And
We'll discuss that. Yeah.
yeah, and honestly for others seeing this, please bring us your trades. If you got somebody you're willing to put out there on the trade block, love to have you on here. Even if you don't want to be on, you just want to give me, hey, your little spiel. love for that too, you know?
Yeah.
So
If
bring
you
it
have
on.
if you have an idea, text it,
Yeah.
email it, something. If you have some kind of rough idea, put it out there.
Yep. So these are a couple players that are out there right now. And trust me, my roster, there's a lot of players that are out there technically.
Same thing on the other note, real quick. If you have a player that's exploded and done real great and you don't think they're going to maintain that, that's a great time to trade them.
Yep.
Get what you can out of them.
Um, I'll reference it again, y'all, for every too many times. I did that with Kyron Williams 2 weeks ago, traded him for Josh Jacobs. Used him and AJ Dillon for Josh Jacobs. Kyron still did well,
Yep.
but I got a good asset back of Josh Jacobs, who also did great this
Yep.
past week, right?
Yep.
So it's like you do have to take advantage of those time frames.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on because we got a couple more segments to get to. And the one before the last is the comments of the week. We didn't have a ton this week when I was, really going through it, but there was one from Louis to Kyle that I love because, basically just telling Kyle, I'm coming for you, man. Like he literally said, better hope your team gets their shit together next week because I'm coming. I absolutely love it. So Louis really giving it to Kyle this week, and he's ready to give him a beatdown.
So I do not have my own comment of the week this week. I as well was ill prepared in this podcast a little bit, where I didn't have time to go through the text chain and chat it up. But I'm going to put an honorable mention out there to Allison because I know at some point in the last week she put something out there that was hysterical, and I don't remember what it is, but she does at least once a week. So she gets an honorable mention as the comment of the week from me. That's what I'll say.
All right. Yeah, she's pretty good with a lot of those things. I feel like
I feel like
her.
there was something that it might actually, I feel like what it was she sent an attachment, like an Instagram
Oh yeah,
video or something, maybe.
that's
I feel
right.
something, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Whatever it was hilarious.
That's right.
Yeah.
Her, Andy, and Louie, I think, have like some of the best responses for people. So they do a pretty good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Comment of the
Andy's
week.
all right. Andy does okay. I'll give him a half mention.
Right, exactly.
I normally have some good ones myself, but I've been busy, so
You've
I
been
haven't
just too
got to
busy.
text.
Too busy
Yeah,
for the
I
zingers.
haven't got to text a bunch.
Right. Well, week 4 is over. So week 4 is in the books. We are I mean, basically going into next week, we're about a third of the way there through the regular season. And now we're going to touch on the week 5 matchups. And before we do each week, I'm going to try to go through kind of where we stand, like our actual standings here. I was leading the East Division, but like I said in last podcast, between Louis and myself, whomever wins that game, I kind of figured that's who's going to be at the top because of where our point totals were as well at that point. But yeah, now Louis is at the top of our division because he has more points than Glenn, but Glenn's also sitting there at 3-1, with the rest of us kind of falling behind that. And then in the West, you've got the worst number 1 team in America right now in Suckaditka at 4-0. Kind of crazy they're undefeated, but he's leading the West right now with Bob trailing behind him. You better not lose, Sam, because Bob's going to take you in no time with that point total that he's got, with others trailing behind him as well. So I feel like in the East, we got, a really good grouping. I mean, we're all right there, whereas in the West, there's a little more separation between all them teams. So
Yep.
good luck, with this upcoming matchups. But let's start
Yeah.
with that father-son matchup here. We got Mufasa versus Simba. And I think Mufasa is saying that he's going to take him. He's out here saying, "I'm going to take your ass down." What you're seeing on these screens, and when you see these projected totals, they won't be really relating to what it's going to be this week because some of you obviously haven't set your lineups yet, and that's understandable considering it's only Tuesday. Haven't even got your waiver wire pickups yet from it. So Rashad White is going to be out for Kyle, so I'll have to replace him. But otherwise, Louis got his lineup already kind of set. He's ready to go for this week, and he's ready for a takedown. Anything that you noted would notate in this matchup, or any way that you're leaning in this matchup of who's going to take it?
No, not particularly. I gotta look here real fast and see, but um, who does Kyle have
Oh,
to put?
to replace Rashad White.
Yeah. Oh, so he's set a roster now. He's already got it set. So this is
Okay, so who's he
he's
playing?
got so who did he replace? He has Josh Allen, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, I think, Jacoby Myers, Michael Thomas, Zach Ertz, Tony Dell, New Orleans defense. He has Waddle on the bench.
Yeah, maybe he didn't like what he
Which
saw from Waddle. I don't know.
well, yeah, I don't know why he would do that, but that's just me. I would not do that, but to
Yeah, I
each
think
their own.
you got to keep
Okay,
rolling with
so
him.
that's what I would note on this matchup is I would put Waddle in. I don't know if I would replace him. I would probably replace him with Jacoby Myers just because Green Bay's defense is pretty good.
Yeah, you don't know who's throwing for the Raiders right now. I'm assuming it'll be Garoppolo.
And Dell I would keep in because Houston seems to be pretty good.
Yeah,
They're all right.
he didn't have a great game this past week, but he had been playing really well before that. So, he'll
Right.
got a decision with his wide receivers of what he's going to do. He's in an unfortunate spot with the running back, but he's also got a free spot on his bench right now where he can easily just pick up one of
Yeah.
those running backs that we talked about, and maybe
Yeah.
they help him out. But this week, I think this week, if he's looking for somebody, the only one I would say is Jaleel McLaughlin that's there to know that he definitely has a role in that offense this week. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody else for him to pick up, and he might be SOL, man.
Well, I would also say just quick glancing at Kyle's dad's team, Lecho, Louis.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it, Kyle. I don't think Thielen or DJ Moore are going to get their projected points. I mean that they're playing two good defenses, both of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
we'll
true.
see how it goes.
Yeah.
But you might be all right.
We shall see.
I think that'll be a good matchup. I think it's going to be closer than I think that might be the nail biter, maybe. Maybe.
It could be, and I think with Dallas's defense, I'll have a tougher time with the San Fran offense. So I don't know that they're going to go nuts this week. But
I don't think they're going to score 20 plus points.
No, Louis will tell you they will because that's a big rivalry right there, the 49ers and Cowboys.
Well, you got to be objective, Louis. Let's
yeah, let's see what's actually happening. But yeah, that'll be a nice matchup and a good some shit talking will definitely be coming out of that one.
Yeah.
Right there, especially when it's first versus worst in the same division too. So
right,
big implications right here.
Yeah.
Next up on our list, we have the bye matchup, and I'm putting that out there because Allison has like half her team on bye, so she's gonna have to figure out. So Glenn's getting a little lucky this week because half her team's on bye, and so therefore she's gonna have to put together something. And so she's gonna be picking up a lot of people. I'm just looking at this now, knowing her roster. She's gonna need she's got to get a quarterback, she's got to get a tight end, and she's got to get a defense. I think it's like literally, I don't think she has backups for any of those positions. Well, she does have a backup for a tight end, right? But unfortunately, he plays for the same fucking team as her starting tight end, so that's not gonna help you. So we'll have to figure out what she's gonna do with that lineup.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, she does not have a backup tight end.
Yeah. So and with Glenn on Glenn's side, I mean, I think Anthony Richardson, he's projected well this week though, so he'll probably do okay. Like he's projected well, but like he's been out producing his projection every week that he's played,
Right.
and so he's helped Glenn a
Well,
lot.
and I gotta mention to everybody while we're on this and talking about this, and I'm sorry, Allison, but I have to say it. This is the time where you want to be watching the waiver wire for sure, because to this point right here that we just said, Allison is going to have to drop a player off of her roster to be able to get a quarterback. Yep. That's just number one. That's not including any other position that she decides that if she wants to fill, she might have to drop 2 people that she has on her roster. You never know.
Yep.
So just
Very
keep that in
true.
mind. Keep up on the waiver wires. Keep up on the waiver wires.
Yeah. And the only other thing that I will note before we move on to the next matchup is Glenn has a low projected total. And just kind of looking at it, I can see why. I mean, he's got, Ramondre Stevenson is going against that New Orleans defense, and their front seven is very good. So they're good at stopping the run. Jerry
Right.
Judy and Ayuk are both going against tough defenses with the New York Jets and the Dallas Cowboys. Then you have even Herbert going against Washington. While they haven't been like a stout defense as a whole, their run defense is a little bit better,
Yeah.
and so they like I think he's got a lot of tough matchups there too. So that it'll be an interesting game. This will be another nail biter in my opinion, just because of the
It
matchups
might
that
be.
Glenn is facing.
I'll have to see what all she does.
Yep.
But I would also say I probably would play Pitts over Musgrave.
My bad. My bad.
But that's just me. I'm not, no particular reason.
Yeah,
Just
I don't know what to do with that because I don't. Kyle Pitts is an insane talent, but they don't give him the ball.
yeah,
Jonnu Smith has gotten more passes and is a better tight end
yeah,
this year than Kyle Pitts, so it's kind of crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's got 3 tight ends on his bench. Might be
Yeah.
somebody if you need. Hey, Allison, you might need to trade Glenn for a tight end.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll settle it for you now. But yeah, that'll be an interesting matchup this week. I
Yeah.
already unfortunately skipped to it on accident, but next up we have EJ, the Cheesehead champs, against Tyler, and we're trying to see if Tyler gets off the schneid this week. Stop that losing streak, and hopefully, yeah, Saquon is looking good to play. So it seems like he will play this week is the hope, and I will say that he needs to play for Tyler. I think to have a shot in this matchup. What do you think?
Yeah. Just looking real quick, you know, I definitely it's tough. I know he's been kind of hit and miss, but I would definitely probably not start Joshua Downs. Uh, I'd
That's
probably
tough
go
though.
with Tyler.
Tennessee does not have a good their
They
secondary.
don't. They don't. But I feel like it'll be everyone else. It'll
Yeah.
be Pittman, it'll be Pierce, tight ends. Richardson's going to run. If Jonathan Taylor comes back, he's going to get some runs. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So that'll take away.
That's true.
But at the same time, you have Cup on his roster coming back from injury. So, is he going to be all right? And, you got Kamara coming back from his second game and he's playing New England. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't put up a good performance against Dallas, but New England's normally a pretty middle of the road team. You're not going to go out and kill them.
No, but they have defensive schemes. Like they scheme towards things, and yeah, I think they'll do a pretty good job
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be
So
interesting.
I
We'll
feel
see if
like some of his projections might not be what they end up being. So
Yeah,
we'll
I can
see.
agree with that, but he also has the Bucks defense in right now that obviously isn't playing. They're on bye, so he's going to pick up a defense that will at least like
I
score
didn't
some
see that.
points.
Well,
Yeah,
does
so
he?
like
That's the
so he'll have
thing.
to pick up
So
a defense, and so
there,
he'll be
well, does he? See, so there's what I'm saying about like the waiver wire and keeping an eye on it. So if he picks up a defense, he's going to have to drop something. So is he
yep,
going to drop Tampa Bay's defense,
maybe man.
or is he going to drop a player? You
Yeah,
know,
we'll have to. Yeah, you have to see
I
about that, but that's one's got to he's got to do something, and who knows if
I
Cup
hope he
plays.
I hope he drops a player.
I know you do. I know you do, but yeah, so that'll. I mean, the matchup looks like it's going EJ's way, especially if Cup,
Yeah.
plays and finds himself
Good
out there.
luck. Good luck, Tyler. Sorry,
Yeah,
EJ.
we want
Sorry,
you to get a
dude.
win, EJ. We want you
Sorry,
to
dude.
lose.
I gotta push for my
Yeah,
cousin to get a win here,
I
man.
know. I don't want any over teams, so we are rooting for Tyler. We'll just be honest, EJ. So
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
EJ. We would like you to be 2-3 after this week. That's what we would
That
like.
is correct.
But But yeah, so that'll be a tough one. So let's get a little change in games here. I call this got mossed. And I put a question mark because he has Zach Moss, but he also has Jonathan Taylor. And this is Casey. So he has the running back for the Colts. So we'll see if it's Moss. We'll see if it's Taylor. Either way, he's at least got a running back who will probably do more than their projection. I would say at that point. So at least
Yeah.
have decent starting running back. And he's got some good skill players, as we kind of mentioned earlier. So got a pretty good squad coming out. So I feel like he will outdo his projection like he normally do. And then you
Yeah.
have Bob on the other side. This will be a good matchup, man. Like this actually will be like a solid game against each other. Anything that you're taking away from this matchup?
So I didn't see this until now, but so this might be the nail biter of the week. This might be it. This could
Yeah,
be interesting. I don't love DeAndre Hopkins, but he doesn't have much other of a choice unless he wants to take a gamble with maybe like Josh Reynolds. I don't know. I wouldn't do Zay Jones or Shaheed. So it would be, well, I guess,
it's
yeah,
funny. I wouldn't take Shaheed if it's friggin' Derek Carr still throwing because he couldn't throw farther than 5 feet
yeah.
in that game. But I would normally like Shaheed as like a boom guy for you that might be able to get you a
It
nice.
could be Shaheed. I don't know. I know Hopkins is not done great. He's done
Yeah.
okay. He's been good, like middle of the road. So
Yep.
that's the only thing I would worry about. But I mean, looking at Bob's side, he might have a good week. Lamar playing Pittsburgh, Derrick Henry playing Indianapolis, Brian Robinson Jr. playing Chicago,
Yep.
Tyreek Hill playing the Giants. Like it's, I
Yeah.
mean, that's he's got some he's got some good players playing a good week. But we just talked about it too. Casey on the other side, he's got some players himself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's gonna
mean,
be man, it's
that
a
might
weird
be a
one.
good matchup.
Yeah, I think it will be. We'll see how Russell does against the Jets. But the other interesting part here is that Casey has the Steelers D, whereas Bob has Lamar Jackson. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see that because and Bob also has the Ravens defense. So that game in
Yeah,
general, how that game
right.
goes will be interesting
Yeah,
already. But then also adding Lamar Jackson on top of that, like Casey, I mean this is a this as I say it now I look at it like it's probably not the nail biter because of that, because it might
yeah,
go one of two ways, right? Either Steelers
yeah,
D shuts them
yeah,
down and therefore L Jacks and the Ravens don't do well,
yeah,
or the opposite happens.
yeah,
And yeah, it could be this will be an interesting one. Um,
yeah.
all right, so let's go to another matchup of the week. Sorry, which is the Omaha
There we
Colt
go.
fans versus Suckaditka. And the only prescription is more cowbell, is more Colt fans. Am I back? Can you hear me, Zach?
You are. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes,
So the only
yes.
prescription is more Colt fans for Dr. Sam. We will see how this matchup goes as well,
You will
man.
not hear this too often, but let's go, Andy.
Yeah. We do. We don't want any winless teams, and we don't want any teams that have only won. We need everybody to share in the wins and losses. Andy still has to get his
Yeah,
defense out there, so we'll see who he
not
decides to
much I
go with.
want to talk about here other than it really doesn't matter to me either way which way this game goes. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good game, but if Andy beats Sam, great. There's not an undefeated team anymore. If Sam beats Andy, great. I'm ahead of Andy.
It's a win-win for you on this one.
uh,
Yeah, and it's funny because I think what happened was Andy heard us obviously talking shit to him about playing Roshan Johnson over Nico Collins or Devon Achan. And so
yes.
he's put them both in his lineup this week.
Yes, yeah. Then he put them both in.
Oh my God, what a crazy
Uh,
thing. So I think that's funny because I think it's awesome that he has now maybe learned the error of his ways because he should have had another, he should be 2-2, and instead he's 1-3. So
and
that's
look, it looks like he's going to run with no defense. I bet you he does that. I
he
bet
just
you he
does it.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to run with no defense
He's gonna wait until that day. He's gonna
because
see like
he doesn't want to drop any of his players.
no. Yeah, he might be one of his
Well, he
team
might.
well, but
Well, I don't know what's Charbonnet done. I don't think he's done
not
anything, right?
much. Nope. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a
no,
good
one,
insurance
four.
policy.
Yeah, no, 1, 4, 6, and 5. Maybe he drops him. I guess I
Yeah.
don't know.
But yeah, he'll pick up another D, but the Browns defense has been like the number one defense. Oh, I guess there's six on
Yeah.
ours, but they're a top defense, so it's kind of tough to just get
Yes,
rid of
they
them
are. Yes,
at
they
that
are.
point. And then Sam has to make a move at tight end because Fryermuth is probably out, so he's going to have to choose a different
Yeah.
tight end at that point. But this
Yeah.
will be it'll be an interesting matchup. I think it'll be closer than what Andy feels like right now. So that's
Right.
the good news.
Um,
It'll be closer than that.
just to real quick, go back. I mean, for those that, oh no, I did drop him. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay,
Never mind.
good story, bro. Good
Yep.
story.
You know it. You know it.
But yeah, good luck to both
I thought I
teams.
had another tight end.
Oh, got it.
Go ahead.
But yeah, good luck to both teams in the West here. But yes, I'm rooting for Andy. I want every team to have a win and loss. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need that for my own sanity. So good luck to the Colt Fins this week. I'll be honest, Dr. Sam. And then last but definitely not least, man, we got a matchup here, and I put bruh because you're feeling the same pain that Allison is, whereas you pretty much have like most half your team on bye. And I just have this just feeling that because you have to play these players, basically, that you're gonna get OW. It's just gonna work out that way. And for me, it's just not gonna work out that way because I actually when I draft, like I focus on bye week for the most part. And so I try to make it so I have a pretty balanced team throughout the year. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should do what you and Allison did and just do like just let it hit you one time, and then you don't gotta feel so bad the rest of the time. Who knows? What are you worried about here, Zach?
Uh, everything. I
It's
mean, I've got 2 backup running backs.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
got a wide receiver that's hurt. He's playing, but he's hurt. I
yeah,
got a wide receiver who Lord knows what is going on.
yeah. He's ranked
And,
63rd. Yeah.
you know, uh, I have Darren Waller. He hasn't done much of nothing.
Nope.
And granted, the DJ Chark might not be there. I don't know. We'll see what happens with,
Yeah.
waiver wires and trade offers
Sure,
and
sure,
things
sure,
of
sure.
that. But, yeah, I mean, it's just bad. It's bad. It's bad. I'm bad.
Yeah, I think this is why you're saying, hey, I want to trade Mahomes because, he's projected to get 28 points. I mean, he's going to always be at the top of the list for quarterbacks. But
Yeah.
you're right. It's like this is where you're feeling like, okay, I need to get some depth at that
Yeah.
point. And I'm feeling good about it because like for me, I'm not going to play the Bengals defense. I don't think I will see how it goes. So I might try to improve that. I'm changing out Dalton Kincaid and putting Hunter Henry in. That adds another point to my projection. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get to that mark that EJ seems to always hit of the 120 area. But my
Yeah.
wide receivers are wide receiver twos at best, so that's a tough part. But I feel good with my backfield, and I think that that's going to be good. And I'm kind of rolling the dice with Sam Howell against the Chicago
Yeah.
Bears shitty defense. So we'll see how that goes, man. But
I got
yeah,
a pretty good feeling that you're going to kick my teeth in. So it is what it is.
I hope so. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I really hope that I win. I would like to.
But I hope you're right. I hope you could be right. That is how fantasy football goes.
It
This should be
does.
the week. This should be the week that I lose no matter what, and I somehow squeak out some win here. It'd be
Yep.
It
Yep.
would be crazy. Throw me all them trade offers. Hurry up. Thursday's coming quick.
And it is. So, while it's Tuesday, you take a breath after week 4. We are moving into week 5. you take a breath in this moment and say, okay, the week 4 is done, but you're going right in. I mean, we got waivers tonight, so make sure you get your waiver claims in for who you would like. I feel like our waivers this week are, while it feels thin on the talent, it feels heavy on what everybody needs because you and Allison have a lot of buys, so you got to pick up some players. There's a lot of injuries going on at this point, so a lot of moves that got to be made in order to make sure that everybody is, in a position to win their matchups this week. So good luck to everybody in week 5. Zach,
Good
thank
luck,
you.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Zach, for being on this podcast and doing it with me. I know it went longer. We added some
Yeah,
stuff in
thank you for
here.
having me.
Yeah, but hopefully
Sorry,
people got some good info out of this. That's what I'm hoping.
it's
And
always longer with Zach on here because I like to talk. I'm sorry.
and that's okay because I appreciate it. But much love to you. Much love to
Yeah.
everybody else out there. And I'm gonna give you one more thing before we are done.
Uh-oh.
Normally
Uh-oh.
I didn't think it would happen today, but it can happen. Oh, contained signing.
Hey,
Hey,
I was
Ross
wondering
says
if I was going to get to see you. Hi, I miss you.
you miss Zach?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. What, you being shy right now?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people that are going to watch this and they're going to think that you're so awesome.
You'll be famous.
Famous. Famous.
Yeah.
You want to say hi to Uncle T? Quickly, Uncle T.
Hey, Uncle T.
Hey, Fred,
What's happening?
your hair is getting long.
Yeah.
Long hair.
Mine? Mine?
You need to put it on Dad's head. That's what
Yeah.
we have to
You help
do.
me out a little bit.
Tell Uncle T.
Oh, I already did. He saw it. He said that's why he told him that you need to put your hair on my head.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. All
All
right.
right. I love you. Love you.
We love you as well. We love you also.
Love everybody.
Peace.
Good luck.
Yeah. Have a
Peace.
good one. Thank you again for that. Much love. Bye,
Love you.
everybody.